be hard to limit the impact of hip-hop to just a few record labels, not to mention that a couple of heavy hitters didn't get enough respect put on their name. Hi, I'm Jasmine with Pulse, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for content like this and more. Here is part 2 of which record label had the best run. Let's check it out. Loud Records. Founded by Steve Rifkin and Rich Isaacson in 1991, Loud Records is a label that boasted one of the most impeccable rosters ever assembled in the genre. Loud showcased acts such as the Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep, 3 6 Mafia, M.O.P., Pete Rock, Twista, Dead Prez, Big Pun, Exhibit, and the Beatnuts, to name a few. Rap's golden era saw the release of classic albums such as Wu-Tang Forever, Enter the Wu-Tang, Capital Punishment, Only Built for Cuban Links, and Let's Get Free, towards the close of the millennium. These standout projects not only put the label on the map, but birthed memorable acts. Big Pun passed away just as his career was making strides, and more recently, prodigy of Mobb Deep has also passed away. As a hip-hop celebrated not only a fighter, but a talented lyricist that overcame health problems along the way. Loud went through a couple of distribution houses in the earlier part of the new century, while the label owner Rifkin had sold it in 2002. Now, he later founded SRC Records with the likes of Akon, David Banner, and the Terror Squad, appearing amongst those ranks. After leaving SRC and Universal in 2012 and taking some time off, he's recently embarked on reviving Loud Records with a view to honor past legends while budding new stars. So, what are some of the pros? A very dominant roster with unquestionable legends all through the label. Classic albums with the acts delivering time and time again with outstanding releases. So what were some of the cons? Well, they barely had an R&B presence on the roster. So while they had a memorable hip-hop roster, if R&B was your thing, then you wouldn't find much to stout about here unless you got the Method and Mary J type collabs. Quality Control Music. Atlanta-based Quality Control Music was founded in 2012 by Pierre Thomas and Kevin Coach K Lee and has been a remarkable run ever since. Off the back of the success of headliners, the Migos, since then the likes of Lil Yachty, Lil Baby, and new acts, the City Girls, I love the City Girls, have joined with the label, with British act Stefflon Don having her releases handled by QC in the US. By focusing on flooding the market with releases, QC has pushed their way into the reckoning as one of the most dominant forces in hip-hop currently. The label has a familiar feel to it, with the management and fellow artists taking up for each other, like when the Migos and P took exception to Joe Budden's handling of the Lil Yachty interview. They are in the middle of their run, so the story is technically still being written. So, what were some of their pros? Well, they brought forth a unique sound and flow, which the Migos popularized, resulting in much of the industry adapting to their methodology. They also foster a close family setup that results in great collaborations, most notably with Drake and Young Thug. Now, the main con about QC is that their frequent releases may become overbearing, depending on the audience. They run the risk of desensitizing their fan base by flooding the market. No Limit Records. The iconic No Limit Records was founded by Percy Master P. Miller in 1990. During the early phase of the label, Master P released a bunch of albums with little success. However, he was able to gain and maintain relationships in and around the West Coast. He would form the supergroup True alongside his brothers Silk the Shocker and C Murder. In 1995, Master P officially moved the label to New Orleans, while keeping his brothers and several California rappers still signed to his label. It was here that No Limit added local talent such as Mystical, Mia X, Cain and Abel, and Fiend. Shortly after his tumultuous exit from Death Row Records, Snoop Dogg joined the label amid extremely successful releases in the label, alongside the late Soulja Slim, alongside a vast array of artists. There were also some motion pictures released from No Limit, most notably 1998's I Got the Hookup and 1999's Foolish. At the turn of a new millennium, the label weakened with the departure of a majority of the acts, leaving behind mainly the headlining acts. No Limit would eventually move distribution houses until bankruptcy in 2003. However, in its new reincarnation, No Limit Forever, the label is currently being overseen by Master P's son, Romeo Miller, who was also part of No Limit's roster at the height of its influence. The label had many pros. They had a major movement that helped establish New Orleans rap alongside Cash Money and the close of the century. Also, despite being critically panned, they did provide a couple of cult classics from their movie catalog. A hardworking CEO, Miller, was a shining example for a lot of people interested in the business that it was indeed possible to make it with persistence and hard work. Salute to the No Limit soldiers. Now, their main con was probably that they were criticized at times for the quality of their packaging and album artwork. But hey, you can't knock the hustle, right? You just gotta take the plastic. LaFace Records. Another Atlanta-based record label, LaFace Records was home to some of the most celebrated and highest-selling R&B and hip-hop acts of all time. Formed by legendary acts Antonio L.A. Reid and Kenneth Babyface Edmonds as a joint venture with Arista Records in 1989. The label got its name from the nicknames of the two founders. Now, their spectacular roster included megastars such as TLC, Toni Braxton, Outkast, Pink, Usher, Goody Mob, and Donnell Jones. The label boasted an extensive R&B squad that was serviced by in-house producers such as Dallas Austin, Organized Noise, Durrell Simmons, among others. The label's talents also had productions from So Def affiliate Jermaine Dupri. At the turn of the new century, LaFace produced less talent resulting from L.A. Reid's appointment as chair of Aristas, as well as Babyface focusing more on his own career as an artist. The label underwent a series of dissolutions before finally being absorbed into RCA Records in 2011. Now, of course, their strong point was that LaFace boasted the strongest R&B roster seen in the modern scope of music, with several multi-platinum releases that were a staple in the R&B fan base. The label also balanced its top-heavy R&B roster with a successful rap contingent. However, they did have some cons, not least that some artists in the label suffered financial mismanagement that led to multiple bankruptcies, despite ultra-successful releases from Toni Braxton and TLC. Both suffered tough financial situations, and they also took their eyes off the ball once the founders of the label started concentrating on their own endeavors. Roofless Records. Founded in 1986 by the late Eric Eazy-E Wright and the late Jerry Heller, Roofless Records was a resource for NWA to release their multi-platinum debut album, Straight Outta Compton. The group of which Eazy-E was a member of, alongside Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, DJ Yella, Arabian Prince, and MC Ren. Other notable artists included the DOC, Michelle A, JJ Fad, and Bone Thugs and Harmony. The label was instrumental in surging the popularity of gangsta rap while blending it with crossover R&B hits. Plagued by unrest pertaining to finances aimed mainly at Jerry Heller, the label lost Dr. Dre to Death Row Records and Ice Cube, who left and formed his own imprint within Priority Records. In 1995, Eazy-E was diagnosed with HIV while working on his third album. Having signed Cleveland-based group Bone Thugs, he produced their debut album on the label, which was released shortly after his passing. The Billboard Hot 100 smash, The Crossroad, was dedicated in his memory. Currently, his son Lil Eazy-E has the reins over the label. What were some of the pros? They helped bring the issue of police brutality to the fore with their smash album Straight Outta Compton. Now, they also held down a respectable roster with a balanced R&B and hip-hop contingent. So what were some of the cons? Much like other labels, accusations of financial mismanagement leveled at Jerry Heller led to the departures of Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, and despite the efforts of Eazy-E and subsequent artists, the label suffered a decline from which they didn't recover from. Good Music. Good Music was founded in 2004 by Kanye West with the acronym that stands for Getting Out Our Dreams. The label has been home to acts such as John Legend, Common, Kid Cudi, Mr. Hudson, Big Sean, Sci-Hi the Prince, Designer, Tiana Taylor, and current president of the label, Pusha T. Good Music has seen a lot of success with the initial roster of John Legend, Common, and Kanye receiving major Grammy recognition over the years. Now, talented acts such as Tiana Taylor and Big Sean have delivered solid albums over the years, and with the addition of the legendary rappers Q-Tip and Mos Def, as well as producer Hit Boys and their production team, saw Good Music string a bunch of memorable releases at the start of a new decade. Now, despite the departures of acts such as Consequence, Mos Def, and Mr. Hudson in recent times, the label has been going strong, especially with the highly publicized Good Friday releases that yielded mixed views among fans and critics alike. Now, as far as their pros, which is probably Kanye's favorite part, they have a well-assembled roster with the legends and new existing acts alike blended in with good production overseen by West and Pusha T. With Good Music, the main con, which if you ask Kanye there are no cons, is that Kanye West has taken the shine of the label's talent with his controversial antics over the years. His more recent releases have had mixed receptions, and while Pusha and Tiana's offerings were critically acclaimed, many of their releases were extremely mixed in reception. So that's part 2. What are your standouts from the crowd? Don't be a stranger. Comment down below because we'd love to hear about what you think. Also, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel and visit our Facebook page for more content. Stay tuned for part 3 of Record Labels, and until next time, peace.